Hello everyone. So today we are going to look at a poem written by Nissim Ezekiel, and the title of the poem is Background Casually. This is one of my favorite poems by Nissim Ezekiel. Speaking of Nissim Ezekiel, he is an Indian Jewish poet and playwright, editor, art critic, and he is also known as a foundational figure in post-colonial India's English literary scenes. And he has written his poem in his own ways. Okay, he has written poems in free verse also, and also written in traditional verses also. So he has his own way in depicting the poems. Okay, his major themes of Ezekiel's are love, loneliness, lust, creativity, etc. He was awarded Sahitya Akademi Award for his collection of poems Latter Day Slams. He satirizes evil practices, superstitions in a humorous way as pop and Dryden. Okay, now let's look into some of the interesting points about the poem. First, the title of the poem. Okay, so when we look into the title of the poem, it is Background Casually. So, okay, then tell me what comes to your mind when you hear the word casually. It is something like in an informal way which shows that we are relaxed, isn't it? So the word casually means in a relaxed manner. Now let us look into the word background. Just imagine I am asking you to think about your background. What are all things that come to your mind? Your family background, your educational background, that and all things come to your mind, isn't it? Likewise, Nissim Ezekiel is going to say about his background in a casual manner, and that too in a relaxed manner. Okay, in a casual, informal manner, he's going to deliver his own background to us, to the readers. Okay, poem is a type of confessional poetry. It is an example of confessional poems, and the poem is divided into three sections. The first section deals with the childhood of the poet, and the second section throws light on his adult age, and the third section deals with the old age of the poet. You got the idea? When you look into the poem, you can identify that the poem starts with a third person narration, and when it comes to the end it becomes a first person narration. Okay, it is a poem actually, but when the poem begins it is some sort of he is speaking of someone else, but when it comes to the end of the poem it's like he is speaking of himself. That is why I told you, like, it is from the third person to first person. There is a change in the poem. Okay, first stanza follows a rhyme scheme of ABABC. These are the interesting facts about the poem Background Casually by Nissim Ezekiel. Let's now look into the poem Background Casually by Nissim Ezekiel. A poet rascal clown was born, the frightened child who would never eat or sleep, a boy of meager born. He never learned to fly a kite, his borrowed top refused to spin. See, here he shows a poet, rascal, clown. A threefold identity is being shown in the first line of the poem, isn't it? As I said, it starts from a third person perspective. So the poet calls himself a poet, a rascal, a clown. Here there is a threefold identity, isn't it? And the next lines shows that he had some psychological problems from childhood. Like he would not eat or sleep, a boy of meager born. He was a thin boy. That's how the poet describes himself, isn't it? Then he never learned to fly a kite. His borrowed top refused to spin. When we were kids, we used to play with our playmates and toys, isn't it? But here it shows, these two lines shows that he didn't have a normal childhood. He never learned to fly a kite, and he played with a borrowed top, and it shows that he didn't had a normal childhood. Okay, next lines. I went to Roman Catholic school. a mugging Jew among the wolves. They told me I killed the Christ. That year I won the scripture prize. A Muslim sportsman boxed my ears. I grew in terror of the strong. But undernourished Hindu lads, their propositions always wrong, repelled me by passivity. One noisy day, I used a knife. At home, on Friday nights, the prayers were said. My morals had declined. I heard of yoga and sin. Could I perhaps be Rabbi's saint? The more I searched, the less I found. In these lines, we can understand that he was being alienated at school. He was considered as the one who had killed Christ. But unfortunately, see the irony over there, he won the scripture prize. The scripture prize here means there has been a like quiz competition or something which is based on Bible, and he has won the prize. So that is the irony, is the people say that he has killed the Christ, but he was the one who won the prize, that is based on Bible. That is something right irony, right? Next lines, we can see the poet speaks about the minority religion as well as the majority religions in the country. And next, the poet moves to the moral value of the poet himself. And the more I searched, the less I found. The more he searched of the morality, he could not find the what type of morality the people are thinking about. In the second section, Ezekiel talks about his adultish experiences. His family desired to send him to England for higher studies, but being financially poor, they could not afford his expenses. However, one of their friends paid for him and he was able to go to England. Though he was alone and considered poverty, poetry, and philosophy. Time passed, and even after 2 years, he was alone. A woman came and tried to motivate him, and henceforth he tried to make his life a little bit better. He recognized his failure, which became an unbearable thought. After spending some years, he decided to go back to India. However, he was too poor to do so. Hence, he started working on a cargo ship that took French guns and mortar shells to India and China. He was finally able to go back to India on the same ship. After coming back to India, Ezekiel tried to be happy and feel at home again. However, he was still an alien. His father often told him that all the Hindus are violent. Nissim and his family were often humiliated by the neighbors. Hence, he prepared to endure the worst. He married and even changed his job. Doing such things, he acknowledged that he was a fool. He started writing poetry and knew well that he has ample to write. He explains how low their community was. His ancestor did the job of crushing seeds with were not a good job. Ezekiel thus expresses his inner and outer suffering that he ultimately failed to defeat. He says that now he has become an integral part of India. The foreigners consider him to be an alien in that land, but he decided now he will consider himself as an Indian. He has to stay there, though it is a backward place for the other Jews living out of India. So, hope you understood the poem well. So, meet you in the next class. Thank you.